Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Amanda. Amanda has a bomb drop of April 11th, 2022 and a date of marriage of 2012. She has a vanisher who is a low energy wallower. She says, my ex-husband left me in April of this year for a woman that he had been seeing for only 2 months. So the first question I have is, then you say ex-husband. So has there been a divorce filed and finalized? That's very fast, and it's not typical. So go on. He immediately filed for divorce. Okay, got that one. He denied over and over there being anyone else. I did some digging and discovered there was somebody, and I confronted him. He claims it was nothing, and in his eyes, it was not an affair due to not being physical. Will he ever regret divorcing me for her and try to come back? We have a 6-year-old son together, so I do smart contact. Well, that's a predictive question, so I can't really say yes or no on the prediction. Will he regret divorcing you? I can't say no, yes or no about that either. I can say I hope so, and some of whether he will regret divorcing you may depend on how you handle the next several years going forward, how you handle his midlife crisis with him, how you are gracious to him, how you set boundaries versus being a doormat also. So there's being grace, but not being a doormat. There's co-parenting. You have a son together. How you handle the co-parenting, how you encourage your son to have contact and also are protective of that son if there are dangers involved. And some of that he might monster at not like. Some of it he might recognize later it was the right thing for you to do, but not in the moment. And some of it may depend on how he goes through his crisis and comes through it. Now, you've said he's a vanisher. I'm seriously doubtful that he's a vanisher because you have a son together. Has he completely abandoned son? If not, people who have children together as not adult children, but who are still raising their children, typically have contact, and that makes it a boomerang. It might not be emotionally clinging, but regular contact. Even if it's not daily or weekly, if it's only monthly, that's still boomerang territory. What a boomerang really means is the contact is frequent enough for there still to be influence going through from one to the other. With a vanisher, you might hear from them or not once a year. And there's probably no avenue for influence other than that. You might have a grapevine, but that's a trickle. Even with kids, that's a trickle. So this happened very quickly. I'm going to assume now that the divorce has been finalized, which is really fast for it now being December, and this was April. Your job is to parent and co-parent your son and continue to work on smart contact. You don't have to treat this as though you are divorced. And what I mean by that is you treat him the same with grace, with kindness, with acceptance, but you also don't have the right of wife. But if you don't want to be divorced, don't date. You're not ready to. You should not be ready to date for a year after a divorce is finalized, and it could take longer than that. It could take a really long time. And this happened so fast, you're in shock. So keep up with your smart contact. Keep up with being grace. Keep up with not having those expectations. And work on your detachment. Work on you instead of focusing on him. And you discovered there was somebody and you confronted him. Good for you. I like that. Some people don't. Too bad. I like it. Then he denies it was nothing to him. You say in his eyes. Is that your words or his? I'm wondering. It's nothing to me because we weren't having sex. Him saying that. Or it's nothing because we weren't having sex. It seems I'm thinking that you were saying it was nothing in his eyes. But that right there is, really? I call them on that sort of thing. Find a truth dart. And you can look up truth darts on my blog. I'll see if I remember. I will try and add in fact, I'm going to put a note right here. Add truth dart link. So that should go in the notes. when this is posted, that I will try and add the Truth Dart link so that you can look at that article on what Truth Darts are. And you don't just bring this out of the blue with a Truth Dart. It's when he says things like that, then you can add a Truth Dart that is related to it. It was an affair. And it doesn't matter that it was physical or not. You were betraying me emotionally. You took the emotions that were meant for a spouse and you applied them to somebody else. You and I both know that the relationship with her was wrong. End of discussion. And then, blah, 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 monster from him. Sorry. This isn't a discussion. I'm not opening it for it. You know what's wrong. You know it was wrong. You know it's been wrong. You left me and, name your son. You betrayed us. There isn't a question about that. You can argue with yourself all you like, and yet you still know the truth. Zip. Done. Truth darts aren't meant to be a discussion. And they might, if they want to discuss it, if they want a monster, well, that's just too bad. You're just telling them the truth. Okay? So that's an example of a truth dart. You can have an affair that's not physical. And you can have an affair that is planned to be physical, but it's not, because that was what my husband, how it started. It's like, he told me they were planning to be physical. Well, if you were planning to be physical, it's a different kind of emotional affair to me then. Because there's an emotional affair where both partners they're either in denial or ignorant about it. But if you're not sleeping with her because you still live with your wife and you have some sort of a boundary put up, like, I can't do this with you, or I won't with you while you're still with your wife, but you have to leave her to be with me, well, that's still wrong. And that was what it was in my cases. I'm not sleeping with her yet because I still live here. And she was trying to tell him, I won't sleep with you until you're divorced, or until you file for a divorce. Well, after the divorce was unfiled, she kept, but at the very beginning, that's how it was. After that, it just became an affair that was denied or hidden and not hidden and taunted and things like that. So this could be something where it was emotional. Has it become physical? Is it physical now? Do you know? Was it ever going to be? Did they know it was going to be? And I'm not saying that makes a difference to them. I want you to, just for you, and it might not be important. But an emotional affair is still a betrayal. It is still an affair, and he left you. And according to your words, the way you've described it, he left for someone he'd been seeing. How does that work? And you did your digging, so I trust that right now. Is he going to come back? It's about how you handle it. It's about how he comes through the crisis, and it's about the trauma from his childhood that he is experiencing now and that is bursting out of his shadow, and he has to reintegrate. How is he going to accept this? It's how he goes through his crisis as well. So I can't tell you how he's going to come through it. What I need you to focus on is how you're going to go through it. How you're going to be the lighthouse and the mirror and the example of what a great person you are, so we can look at you and go, wow, yeah, wow, she's amazing. My ex-wife is an amazing lady. I really missed out on that one. I guess it's too late. Still going through crisis. At some point, you tell him it's not too late also. You tell him, you know what? I didn't want this divorce. It's not what I want. It's not what I ever wanted. You know what? I know it's final. I know it's done. I still don't want it. Someday when you change your mind, talk to me. My ears will be open then. And then he might get mad at you, say you're in denial, whatever. Say, hey, you're not ready now. Maybe you'll never be ready. It's your loss. Okay? So I have a little critter knocking at my door, and that was all I was going to say anyway. So I hope this is helpful. And I will see everybody in the next question.